So here I am in Scotland, on the hunt for haggis, whiskey, ancestry, and kilts. And look at who I found! It's Stewie, Little Jeans. Yeah, how about that? Here I am in Scotland. I found another hubber.
Hi. Oh God, not that.
Okay, I kid. Me and Stewie had a fun day together, although that was practically the only footage I took with him. He showed me around a bit, we played a little jig all night, and, nice to meet another hub member. But as I said, I was there to learn about my heritage and, didn't get very far. So what other news is there to write about? Well, in 5 years' time, Sweden is going to be penniless. Not saying they're going to be bankrupt, it's just that all the cash is going to disappear. This is because tax people want to have control over where the money actually goes. In a sense, it's a bit racist if one thinks about that immigrants come to Sweden, they work, or beg if they really have it, if things really go south for them, and send the cash back to their families. As well as Swedes want to try and save money, so they hide the money under the mattress so that the tax people don't come and can't see the money and therefore not collect it. And I do see the point where the how much is printed and how much they should have doesn't match up, and so inflation, deflation, whatever mess that comes to. But this control would lead the country into communism. I mean, what's to stop the tax people from monitoring a person's capital and balancing out your account every second so no one's too rich or too poor? And I'm thinking kids will have troubles learning the value of money if there's nothing physical in their hand to count. I mean, without the physical money, at the age of 5, kids will need their own bank account and card in order to buy snacks at the school cafeteria. And with invisible money, how will they know the limit? And will they get into trouble when they don't have enough to pay for the bus fare? Okay, these days school kids do get the free bus card, but still. And there is another thought to this as well. Gold has a value because there's a limited amount of it in the world. And you then take this gold and shape it into coins, which you then exchange for other goods that have a value. But if one took that away and only had numbers, does the currency have any value anymore? Some of us have said that we'd move out of the country when this happens, but what if the rest of the world follows suit? Where to then? And if all the world were to make their money digital, and the limit were set at more or less the same place, they'd all have the same value, and one could just as easily bunch them under the same currency. For example, the euros. And we all know how well the euros went, right? Or as the sci-fi shows would predict, credits. But what if there was a power outage and you couldn't pay for them digitally without cash? Would you get the food for free? Or would it all be written up and you get a massive bill when the power comes back next week? But as people say now and again, striving for a paperless society. And money? I guess it's no different. Actually, now that I think about it, if there are those few people that still hold on to the cash for, well, for the memorabilia or something like that, and all the cash disappears, those few that still hold cash, there is now a limited amount of this cash. So does that mean it has a value again? Actually, speaking of going into racism and communism and such, well, I think Sweden's already there. There is a renovation going on at a friend's apartment. The tenants got the information that there's going to be a renovation and that the water pipes need to be redone. And for this, they decide to redo a good deal of the layout as well, including the material for the bathroom floor and and some other things for the kitchen. Now, the information said this is going to happen, but would you like to have this in your bathroom, or would you like your kitchen in that way, or I think it was a kitchen. And, well, a good number of people said that we would like to keep it the way it is. And that is the floor tile, because the alternative would be more slippery and more cold. And the sensible people said that they did not want this new floor tile. However, it turns out they had already bought all the materials that the entire place, the entire house of apartments, were to change uniformly. No matter if people said yes or no, it was going to be according to what they had decided. And the stuff they bought was somewhat more expensive than the standard. But they decided to go ahead with this so that they can raise the rent above what should normally be raised. So, and partly it's to weed out the immigrants, as it were. The immigrants that have a low-paying job cannot stay there and have to move out. But even the domestic people that are pensioned, they can't afford it either, so they are being weeded out as well. I suppose the moral of the story, what you do unto foreigners, you do to your own kind. I swear, this is starting to look like the year of the communism. Okay, now on to another subject at hand. You guys are probably wondering about the comics that I made and the animation. What's the progress in that? Well, I did say that the animation would take time, but that which takes the most time is actually the modeling. And seeing as I can't do organic modeling well, I have to rely on others to do it for me. I have been in contact with someone who was willing to do a Darkwing Duck model, but, you know, they have their own lives to attend to. They can't, you know, be my slave 24/7. And so things will, you know, be a while yet. As well as there are some other Disney and Warner Brothers characters that need to be modeled. Babylon 5 and Star Trek aliens. Alf, Garfield, Flintstones, Muppets, Carlson, Lego Man.